Howdy doody, it's Juby. Today,
I'ma show you how to.
get old store costumes in the current version of Poptropica AS3 on Flashpoint. Right now, it is March of 2026, and all of the available tutorials for this are a few years old and no longer fully accurate to the current state of the game. It took a lot of trial and error for me to figure out how to do this. I spent days figuring this out since I'm not very tech savvy. So I really wanted to share what I found with people who also want a little joyous and whimsical and nostalgic dress up. Firstly, I'd like to thank these two posts on Reddit. They were both essential to figuring out how to do this today. This will also work with items like the clapboard. I'm just showing off how to get a costume because it is a little extra tedious. Before we begin, make sure you're on Flashpoint Infinity version 14 and that you have Flashpoint Manager on the bottom left of the screen. From there, make sure you have Save Manager enabled. This is extremely important in the current version because, as far as I can tell, importing and exporting your save data no longer works without this method. Also, make sure you have a Soul Editor downloaded. I use this one on SourceForge. I'll link it in the description. Finally, have at least one item purchased in the shop already. Any of the mini quests, pop gum, or pet packs will work. This is optional, but I would highly recommend creating a folder in your file explorer to organize the files you'll be downloading today and make them easier to find. Now, let's begin. First step is finding what you want on this website, server.idkonpop.com/pop/items. Sadly, there are no attached images, only the names of the items are available. What we're looking for are store cards. The old costumes will be numbers 3000 to 3909. Today, I'm looking for the Royal Ball outfit, which is number 3001. I'm going to note that down so I don't forget that ID number. Second step is typing in the link poptropica.com/item/item ID.swf. You're going to replace ID in that link with the number ID of the item you want. To clarify, you will keep item, just replace where it says ID. Here you can see my link now says item/item 3001.swf. Now, if I hit enter, I will get an error screen that looks like this. What I want to do instead is go to web.archive.org and use the Wayback Machine to find the file I need. I'm going to copy it into here and choose a snapshot from before 2025. I found that most costumes were saved in early January of 2020. I'm going to click on this one from January 11th, and once it loads, I'm going to right click and hit download.swf. Your computer may block the download, but you can just select allow/keep. I promise it's safe. No harm will come to your computer from silly costumes. Now you're going to find that file in your downloads. Maybe even put it in that folder I told you to make in the beginning. I don't know. For the third step, you'll want to find your game folder. There's a few ways to do this, but a very straightforward way will be to open Flashpoint and search for Poptropica in the search bar. You want to right click on the AS3 curation, which is the one that doesn't say AS2, and click Show Game in Explorer. It will take you to a highlighted folder with a bunch of numbers and letters. Do not unzip this folder, ever. I know you want to do it, but you must resist. Don't do it. Instead, click on it and then open the folders that say Content and then www.poptropica. You'll have a long list of things here, but what you're looking for is the folder called Items. I'm going to put it to the side for now so I can access the file I downloaded from the Wayback Machine. I'm going to move this file to the Items folder. You'll notice everything else in this folder is also called Item with a lowercase I, then a number with no space, so it fits right in. For step 4, look at the top of your File Explorer window. You'll see a path that goes backwards from Items to Poptropica to Content to your very long game title name to Games to Data and finally to Flashpoint. You'll want to click on Flashpoint and find the folder called Utilities. You are now in your Saves Manager. You may or may not have the folder called Old Saves. It's fine if you do or don't yet. You'll want to back up your save by hitting Backup and then any key. I do suggest reading the text documents before doing this, mostly if you have other saves from different games on Flashpoint. You may not want to back them up, and in that case, you can remove them from the Flash Save backup folder. You may also copy your backup save elsewhere if you're worried about messing something up. That's what I did at first. After backing up your save, go to the Flash Save Backup folder and click on Shared Objects. Then the only folder there, which should be a lot of numbers and letters, then poptropica.com. And finally, locate char.soul. Char? Share? Share?
Soul Bad Guy.
Open it in your Soul editor. You should see a lot of words on your screen. Unfortunately, as far as I'm aware, there's no search function in this program. You'll have to manually scroll and find the line that says inventory. Underneath inventory should be islands you've completed with a couple little gray calculator icons underneath them. If that helps. When you do find inventory, slowly scroll until you find store underneath it. It should have a couple black letter B icons underneath it, followed by a couple gray calculator icons. Yours will most likely end with a gray icon with a 20 next to it. Mine has some extra B's at the end because I've already saved a few costumes already. Now you want to click on store, then add, then string. That's what those B's represent. Unfortunately, after you do this, at least for me, it sends you all the way to the bottom, meaning you have to find inventory and store again. I will say it should become a little easier to find every time you do it. But seriously, if someone knows how to search for specific words in this program, please comment it below. After you've located the string you added to store, you're going to click on it and see a big empty value box. In that box, you will simply type in the number ID of your item. Mine will be 3001, yours will be different, unless you're also going for the Royal Ball outfit. Are you copying me? After this, you will save your edit with the little floppy disk icon on the top left of the screen, and you may close out your Soul editor. Next, you're going to copy the char file you just edited and head back to your old saves folder. Once again, you'll click through the shared objects and random letters folder until you get to the poptropica.com folder, where you will paste your char.soul file and replace the one that was there. Finally, for this step, we'll head back to Saves Manager. You can click on Restore and hit any key to rewrite your save file with the costume card now loaded into your game. Step 5 has us finally opening the game, but do not click on Returning Player just yet. Oops, sorry, I forgot to decrease my zoom. I have full revision. Right click on the outside of the game window, next click on Inspect Element. It will open a white box that will most likely be on the bottom of the screen. I put mine on the side, but you can watch me struggle to put it back to the bottom so that mine matches yours. There we go. You're going to click on Network, which is the last button on the top left of the white box. Now you may click on Returning Player. You'll want to go to any AS2 island. Early Pop Tropical will do, as well as any other island on its map page. When you land, open your inventory and click on Store Items. Find the item card corresponding to what you downloaded. If your costume has multiple color options, select the one that you want and hit Customize. In Network, you'll notice columns that say Status and File. Look for item statuses that have a 404 error represented by a small red square. Look at the file name and see if it's a part of the costume you want. On my screen, you'll see files such as avatar underscore shirt underscore pball1.swf. This is the Royal Ball outfit, so it makes sense that this file is the top for it. It also ends with a 1 as the color I chose was the first option. If I had chosen the second color option, it would most likely say pball2.swf. For some reason, each item is showing up twice on my screen, which is unusual. They do say the same thing, however, so it will not be a problem. I will copy each file name once into a note in my device. Here, I actually forgot to copy down the file name for the hair, so I had to come back for it later. Don't be like me. Make sure you copy down all aspects of the costume before you close the game and go on to the next step. Although it's not a huge deal either, you can just open the game again and redo this step. Step 6 involves us going back to our trusty dusty Wayback Machine. Very similar to step 2, you will paste the .swf files you copied and find an old snapshot of it. Once again, you will right click on the image and click download.swf. You'll need to do this for every part of the costume. In the very beginning of the video, I mentioned that getting items was less tedious because of this step. Items typically only have one file you need to download, while outfits have many. Same as before, you will keep/allow your very not harmful files. For the seventh and final step, you will need to access your Flashpoint folder again. As a reminder, you can easily find it by opening Flashpoint, searching for Poptropica, right clicking it in the search menu, and clicking Show Game in Explorer. Click through this file to Content and then to www.poptropica. You will now select the Avatar Parts folder. Also open the new SWFs you downloaded in the last step so we can sort them into the correct parts folder. As you can see, each file name corresponds to a file in Avatar Parts. Avatar underscore hair underscore pball1 will go into the hair folder. Avatar underscore marks will go into the marks folder. And underscore shirt will go into pants. Just kidding, it goes into shirt. I find it useful to sort by date modified to make sure it copied over correctly. After this, you can open your game and finally enjoy your new costume. Yippee! Thank you so much for watching my first video. I hope this really helped and that I explained everything well. Before I end, I'd like to leave you with a couple things to note. 1. Having costumes made my store inventory load much slower than usual. It will typically take about a minute for everything to load in. You may think the buttons for the store inventory or customize aren't working, but it will eventually load after a bit of waiting. This is only the store items tab of the inventory. Island item tabs load just fine. 2. You can only access these items in AS2 islands. The inventory menu in AS3 islands does not show item cards spawned in this way. However, your outfits will show up on your character if you wear them in AS3 islands. You could always save them to your closet, might help pass extra loading times as well if you do this. 3. Using handheld items, such as the Prom King's cane, by pressing the spacebar seems to make you completely freeze for some reason, but as long as you're in reach of the blimp or a door, you can unfreeze yourself by clicking on them. 4. If you want multiple colorways of an outfit, you will have to do steps 5 through 7 for each. At least you don't have to start from step 1. Remember that the file names will be slightly different for different colors as well, and that you can make sure you're finding the correct ones by selecting the color you want before you hit customize and scrolling all the way to the bottom of network. 5. Sometimes the costume will appear like it's not loaded correctly in its card, but if you select customize, it will show up fine. My cheerleader outfit, for example. This may have to do with the color option I have not being the first, as I have the first option for the geisha and prom queen set, which show up as they should. 6. Finally, some costumes and items such as the gothic cheerleader and grape soda don't appear to be saved in the Wayback Machine. I'm completely unsure of another way to get them. I don't think anyone's compiled a list of which SWF links are/aren't available in the Wayback Machine. Maybe I'll do it if I get 1 billion likes. But anyways, thanks for watching. Bye.